conspiracy theorists.
This case about whether the birth, you think there was you think Meghan was wearing a moon bump. The fact is, Harry and Meghan in Palace lied on their behalf. The cover up over the birth of Prince.
Says Diana, why would they title for their institution they loathe so much?
Right now, Piers Morgan is going all, and this time it's different. The chatter around his claims is loud a minute, especially with that insiders are parts of it. What started as one voice raising questions has now grown into a full-blown conversation, with reports both the United States and the United Kingdom at the exact same time. And right at the center of it all, something low-key unfolding behind Buckingham Palace to barely speak on openly. This isn't some messy public splashed everywhere. It's being handled in a tight, controlled, almost secretive way. Careful moves, private, no sudden noise. But here's where people start side-eyeing the whole situation. It isn't on Prince Harry, and it's not directly on Meghan Markle either. Instead, the spotlight is said to be shifting toward Archie and Lilibet.
All Harry and Meghan need to is prove to us that she is out. If they don't, it is unfair on the children. It's also unfair on the royal family because it puts the royal family in a very invidious, because the royal family, there are certain things they can and do by law. And Harry knows that.
And Meghan have never provided any evidence for that highly incendiary claim. But they haven't had the chance to. After all, they pumped out six self-indulgent bills on the press for its racism.
This won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out.
Their official records, their royal titles, and exactly in the line of succession. And just when it all feels intense, things suddenly take an even sharper turn. There are ongoing claims about issues, missing signatures, and questions swirling around key documents. Some reports a christening has no official record tied to it, which is raising serious eyebrows. In royal tradition, details like that are almost always documented without no exceptions. So naturally, this has a of speculation and quiet concern in certain circles, are paying very close attention.
Now they want to give their kids, even though they're the royal family, they don't do nothing to deserve it, and use their own royal title.
Everything that Meghan is doing, due to become a life billionaire, goes against the agreement that she made with Prince Harry not to exploit their for commercial.
Meghan playing games that resulted in people unnecessarily questioning things. The toxicity thing is result of them.
All of this is why, according to continued reports, Meghan is said to be feeling major pressure behind the scenes at their Montecito home. If even a small part of these claims turns out to carry weight, open a much bigger conversation than anyone expected. And this is where everything looks right back to Piers Morgan. The one question the big ass seem to sidestep. It's simple, but it lands hard. If Harry and Meghan are still using their Sussex titles in business deals, partnerships and branding, while also presenting themselves as separate from the royal institution, how do those two things line up at the same time? That tension is what keeps all talking. This situation is building fast, and adds another layer that's hard to ignore.
Apparently, I said all the royals to Lilibet's christening, but they're all going to fly to embrace the last 3 years. But it looks like, for the drums, they have been invited.
A lot of the royal watchers were complaining that they felt like her posts on social media where she shows the kids is taunting the king who doesn't know these children and how
either Archie or Lily, they need to prove that those children are not entitled in this matter, and their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard on the throne can.
Piers Morgan keeps pressing the issue, and he's not even a second. He's been calling it out in the bluntest way possible, straight to the point, no filter. Piers Morgan labeling the whole situation as full-on hypocrisy on a massive scale. And he's not soft at all. According to him, those royal titles aren't just formal labels sitting on paper. They're being used everywhere you look. Every public statement, every brand move has Duchess of Sussex front and center, almost like it's itself. And it doesn't stop there, not even close. Now, the focus is shifting toward the next generation, and that's where things get even more intense. The introduction of Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet brings a whole new layer into
a scandal, not only in terms of Meghan Markle's destructive behavior, but in terms of the remiss and negligent recent mainstream media.
100%. Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
Yeah, nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous behaviour. The truth be told, what she just said is garbage. British media, the public and the royal family, that's
more attention, ability, and yes, more value tied to those names in the public eye. Piers Morgan didn't hold back, said it either, putting it out there as cash instead of status. And that line hit hard, with a lot of people watching. But here's why he's pushing even louder right now. This isn't about Harry and Meghan as individuals anymore. The conversation has grown, and now it's centered on what these titles really mean for Archie and specifically. And that shift, it makes everything feel a lot more serious, more intense, very quickly. Think back to that Oprah interview, because this part ever in a major way. Piers Morgan, he described that Oprah interview as one of the most damaging moments for the royal family's public image. Firm on that.
Series released to the world this morning is packed with sort of rehashed old revelations with a new twist. As it turns out, we've apparently been wrong all along. Britain is a nasty, racist hellhole where only magnificent men stood up to this, and the world's
Of course, hunting for a man in England from 13 onwards, when marriage said you couldn't find anyone in the time, and she wanted wealth and fame, and she targeted.
Really covering their backs. There's just too many unknowns, and then of course we have the doctor that allegedly delivered Lily, but her practice 2 weeks after giving birth to Lily, or delivering Lily. That sentence there is...
During the interview, Meghan shared that had not been given a royal title, suggesting it was linked to concerns about his skin color. Claim sent shockwaves across the world instantly. Piers Morgan pushed back hard against that narrative, arguing that the situation was in a misleading way. He pointed to long-standing royal rules, especially patents set during King George's era, which lay out clear guidelines on who receives titles and when.
Also, let's remember that Meghan was hale and hearty at 8 months pregnant, having not a pound, having not shown that Spartan head. Is that Archie does it between her legs?
They decide, okay, well, you know, we have to come out in like she be in way, but we're not coming out to this are not going with our kid. So then they show up as Meghan in her white dress with Harry, and he's this completely still baby.
According to work, the situation wasn't as simple as it was during the interview, and he made that clear without hesitation. Now that again, even more intense, because everything circles back to how those titles are being used today and what they actually represent moving forward. This is where things start to shift. The details, the rules are behind it all, cutting through them. And once you look at that closely, it starts changing the entire angle of the story in a big way. Under long-standing royal rules, great-grandchildren don't automatically receive prince or princess titles, and that standard applies across the it's not aimed at one person, depending on the situation.
The two main feeders of the rumours into Lady C's, Meghan was too big for, well, I suppose her first baby, and also too big of only having one child, and she seemed to be big at the wrong time.
That it just really kind of boggles the mind. I mean, just for titles, for example. So when Archie was first born, they said they didn't want him to have a title. I was like, bravo, you understand. He's not going to be a working member of the royal family. He is going to have to live a normal life, get a normal job. That is fantastic. And then it came out later in the Oprah Winfrey interview. Well, they denied him a title and security because he is a mixed child.
In Archie's case, the rules seemed into effect yet at that time, which directly challenges and was presented publicly, and why people are revisiting it now. Piers Morgan has been extremely direct on this point, not holding anything back. He described the claim as a lie, saying it will to millions of viewers about it that traditionally doesn't respond in real time, and that silence only made them bigger. Now that exact being pulled right back into focus, and it's creating a whole new wave of scrutiny. According to ongoing reports, this is one of the key reasons the palace is taking a closer look at everything to these titles from the ground up. When a narrative like that's globally, especially involving children and royal status, serious pressure on the institution to weigh every single detail carefully. That means documents, records, timelines, everything gets reviewed piece by. And what's reportedly being examined right now is raising real questions in circle, which is exactly why they're picking up in a big way.
Meghan Markle gave to Lily, because this is what's called deniable, to say, hey, we never claimed that she was our daughter in that announcement. They're legal, their backs. There's just too many unknowns. And then, of course, we have that the doctor that alleged Lily put her this 2 weeks giving birth to delivering Lily. That sentence there is missing. That is a vital sentence that Meghan chose not to put in an official statement because she knows she would get into a lot of trouble and she needed possible deniability.
Now this is where things really start to escalate in a serious way. Piers Morgan is no longer the only one raising alarms, and the noise is getting louder from multiple directions. Reports coming out of the United States, including coverage from News Nation, are now echoing what royal watchers have been quietly discussing for weeks, and it's all starting to line up in that's hard to ignore. The big claim? Prince William is reportedly considering major changes when it comes to royal titles, and not just for Harry and Meghan. His reports conversation could stretch further and include Archie and Lilibet as well, which suddenly pulls all 4 names right into the spotlight. Sources suggest this isn't being treated like some far-off possibility either.
The point about Meghan is easy to dislike her, but the thing about her is that in her own terms, she's on success. She came from nothing, not a very successful actress. She had no money. She had no future after the Suits series in Canada, and such an international star with quite a bit of money. And of course, in her terms, it's a great success.
Harry has written extensively, and they have commented extensively on her misses with Archie, as well as her birth. And remember, Meghan was so hungry as pushing out Lily that they had to for, was it tacos or some such beef?
Talked about things and depending on how things unfold moving forward. Piers Morgan has been pointing to situations from the past to explain why this matters so much. He often brings up comparisons to other royal figures who stayed closely tied to the institution while facing intense public scrutiny at the same time. In his view, this opens a bigger question about how these titles are used, what they truly represent, and exactly where the line gets drawn when public image and responsibility collide. And he's making his stance crystal clear at all. According to him, the momentum behind Harry and Meghan is starting to slow down. Between their public image and their current deals is becoming more noticeable by the day. Changes in major partnerships, shifting media attention, and what's a growing reliance on the royal connection as a key part of their identity. And according to him, that exact raising concerns at the highest levels behind the scenes.
Meghan was a geriatric mother, and geriatrics are treated with kid gloves. And everything Meghan said about those men's children is the true meaning of the word. Nothing that she says is, in my opinion, nothing when you check it with doctors and nurses, nothing is usual or typical or even recognized. Has shown herself to be one of the nastiest pieces of work it has been public's displeasure to witness.
From that angle, this isn't being framed as something personal. It's being framed as structural, bigger than just one sit. There are ongoing discussions suggesting that any future decisions around titles wouldn't single out just one couple, but would apply more broadly across the board. Names like Beatrice and Eugenie have even been mentioned in that conversation, which will shift toward a more consistent approach for everyone involved. That kind of move would change the entire playing field in a big way. The principle Piers Morgan keeps repeating is simple and straight to the point. If someone isn't actively working within the royal system, then the need for an official title to justify, at least in his view. He often brings up examples like Zindel is built up without holding a formal title, showing there are other paths that don't rely on royal labels at all. Then the focus swings right back to Archie and Lilibet, growing up in California, far removed from official royal duties. And that detail adds another layer of intent to the entire conversation. Their situation adds a whole new layer of debate as titles actually mean in today's world. That's exactly why the conversation keeps up. It's not just a tradition anymore. It's about how those traditions evolve and whether they still hold the same weight in a modern light. Now here's the detail that really got attention. Reports circulating that Meghan potentially challenge any move to remove the titles through legal action, and that idea alone sparked strong reactions across the board. Piers Morgan didn't stay quiet on that for a second. He questioned it openly and pushed back hard. His response focuses on one key point. The authority behind royal titles comes directly from the crown itself, which makes any legal route far more complicated than it might seem at first glance. In his view, this whole situation was down to one thing: control. Who actually defines the value of a title, and who truly has the power to take it away when it comes down to it? And right now, that exact question is driving the conversation louder than ever, pulling more attention in from every direction. And this is where the con takes a sharp turn, because of Piers Morgan, the reaction coming out of is raising even more eyebrows. He suggests that the belief legal pressure actually shift. Royal decisions shows just how far removed things may have been from how the system really operates. Perception alone is adding a whole new layer of tension to an already complicated situation. But now, it moves into territory that's really shaking royal watchers. Beyond this over titles, beyond the back and forth, there are reports of something far more serious happening quietly behind the scenes. Senior at Buckingham Palace has launched one described as an internal verification review, and it's reportedly focused directly on Archie and Lilibet. This review is said to center around key details: their births, official paperwork, and how everything lines up with their staying in relation to the crown. And Piers Morgan has been very clear about what that signals. At least from his perspective. In his view, the palace doesn't take steps like this a strong reason pushing it forward. The monarchy can handle public criticism, nothing new. But uncertain, especially around lineage and official documentation, is something it's extremely seriously. And that's exactly why this situation is starting to feel bigger than ever before. Questions tied to royal lineage are never small issues, not even close. They connect straight to the foundation of how the entire system is built. And according to ongoing reports, those questions where they can't just be brushed off anymore. The pressure around this is clearly, but people are paying close attention. One detailed major focus involves Archie's birth certificate, a legal document linked to someone in the line of succession. Documents like that are consistent, clear, and precise at times. However, a claim that changes were made after it was first issued, and that's where things start raising eyebrows fast. Meghan's full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, was reportedly adjusted with her royal title appearing in its place. Her Royal Highness Duchess of Sussex, without a first or last name listed. That specific change has become a huge talking point, because in a system built accuracy, even small edits can lead to much bigger questions being asked. Piers Morgan zeroes in on this deal right away, pointing out how unusual it appears from his perspective. In royal systems, work is handled with extreme precision, no shortcuts. Changes like this are almost never casual. They require formal requests, approvals, and a recorded explanation every single time, which is exactly why this detail is getting so much attention right now. The system's tight and credible, no loose ends. But here's where things start to look messy. People begin asking questions. When concerns were raised about that change, the explanations didn't line up. Meghan's team reportedly said the adjustment at Palace in it came from her side instead. Two completely different versions with no clear agreement. No consistent answer, no solid trail explaining how or why it, and that's exactly what people stop to take a second look. Then announced itself, and this is where the pattern starts shifting even more noticeably. Traditionally, every royal but a strict, locked-in format, official confirmation, medical verification from named doctors, and a formal palace released without delay. It's a system designed to remove any doubt completely, no gaps, no confusion. But with Archie, that's report didn't unfold in the usual way, and that's where attention starts building fast. The timeline caused confusion right from the start. The announcement said to Labour, yet other reports indicated it had already been earlier, and that raised eyebrows immediately. Hours passed without clear details, which only added to the uncertainty. No hospitals publicly, no statements from medical professionals were released, and no in-depth verification was made available for to see. And here's a key detail Piers Morgan keeps up. Unlike the announcements for George, Charlotte, and Louis, Archie's announcement did not include signatures from attending doctors. And that's what continues to stand out in a big way. Those signatures aren't just tradition, they act as official confirmation. And without it's no so questions stop fast. When something that's usually standard suddenly isn't there, you'll notice right away. And that's exactly what's happening here. Now, the attention shifts to Lilibet, and this is where cans are said focused right now. Her birthplace in California, and was announced entirely through Harry and Meghan's own team, which already sets it apart from the usual royal process. There were no UK-based doctors involved, no royal staff present, and no formal palace bulletin in a traditional format that people are used to seeing. Even the symbolic elements were, and that's another detail getting attention. No official notice did outside Buckingham Palace. No structured rollout like past royal births. Nothing following the usual pattern. When you line all these differences up side by side, it becomes a situation is about with so much intensity. For most figures, doing things differently wouldn't raise eyebrows at all. It would feel completely normal. But when it comes to a child connected to the British line of succession, tradition carries stepping outside centuries-old protocol isn't something the list ignores. That's exactly why these details are now being looked at mostly behind the scenes. The conversation keeps momentum. And now this is the part that's reported the biggest reaction in royal circles right now. When palace advisors looked into Lilibet's in California, reports claim they couldn't find an official entry anywhere. No registry listing, no confirmation linked, and no acknowledgement tied to the bishop's office. That absence alone is turning heads fast. That become a major point. Because in royal a christening is far more than just a symbolic moment. It carries real weight. Piers Morgan has been extremely firm on this and hasn't backed down for a second. He argues that a royal christening isn't just for appearances. It plays a formal role in giving a royal child to the church, which has deep historical ties to the crown itself. Without that connection, questions naturally start building about how that relationship is officially recognized, and that's when tension starts rising. All of this helps explain why the act behind the scenes is being described as very different from what people see online. The polished and carefully presented updates tell one version of the story, clean and controlled. But according to ongoing commentary, there's a much more complicated situation unfolding out of view, and it's attention quickly. Piers Morgan bringing everything back to one central idea, and that point continues to drive the entire conversation forward. He believes the current image, brand deals, media projects, and overall positioning leans heavily on that royal, and that's everything elevated right now. If that link weakens even slightly, the situation is viewed moving forward, and not in a small way in direct terms. No sugarcoating at all. Without titles leading every announcement and partnership, the narratives completely. Instead, royal linked identity. It becomes the story of two individuals who stepped away from the institution, spent years publicly criticizing it, and that shift when you look at closely. In his view, change doesn't strengthen the brand, it completely ripped from the ground up. And then there's Harry, which is where Morgan says something that gets overlooked but matters a lot in this context. According to ongoing reports, Harry believed no matter where he lived, even all the way in California, his children's royal identity would remain fully secure, permanent, untouchable for debate. But now that was being treated in a serious way, and the starting to feel much more uncertain. Claims he has tried reaching out to senior royals, making calls that aren't getting responses, and the reason being suggested is straightforward. When the palace shifts to constitutional matters, emotions and personal ties don't carry the same weight, and that reality changes everything. Take a back seat, because once that process starts, it moves forward regardless of personal feelings or outside noise. That's the reality Piers Morgan keeps pointing to, and it's a big part of why this scene feels so intense right now. He's also been directing strong criticism toward King Charles, and he's not holding back at all. In his view, there were multiple moments where firm decisions could have been made, after the Oprah interview, after major media releases, after public statements, but each time, no decisive action followed. And according to Morgan, that hesitation is exactly what grew into something much bigger than it needed to be. Now, that pressure is reportedly shifting toward Prince William, and Morgan makes it clear he sees William as someone who would take a more structured and direct approach. From that perspective, William understands what's at stake, not just right now, but long-term, especially with George, Charlotte and Louis in line to forward. So where does this situation go next? That's the question getting louder. According to those closely watching these developments, a few possible paths are being discussed, and one of them stands out: a quiet freeze, where titles remain but are no longer actively used or recognized in any official way, slowly fading into the background without an announcement. Another possibility be quiet vacation. Moves in silence. No breaking headlines. A gradual shift behind the scenes where names are removed from official listings. That would patchy and fully outside the working royal structure, positioning them clearly as private individuals without making a public spectacle out of it. Then this is the one Piers Morgan suggests being taken seriously right now. It's all the one that could change everything moving forward in a major way. The final option being discussed is the most serious of formal removal, and that's where things get heavy fast. If this reported review can't confirm that royal protocols and lineage followed in a way the institution formally recognizes, the Crown holds the authority to act, and it would out publicly. No drawn-out back and forth, just a direct decision made to the monarchy itself. That's the part carrying real weight right now, because at its core, it is to preserve itself anything else. Piers Morgan has stayed consistent on this point, but now it's harder that the conversation grows. His view is simple and sharp. The Crown endures no who is involved. Individuals may come and go, but the standing, and that reality shapes every move. And he also points to something else that people can't ignore anymore. And that next point is where the pressure peaks. Beyond all the back and forth, this sin is now to something much bigger in the public eye. Building around it is hard to ignore, in voices from every direction. What's making it even more intense is how divided the reactions have become. Some people see this as long overdue accountability, while others view it as unnecessary scrutiny. That is keeping the story alive and gaining momentum fast, because every new detail gets apart from different angles. At the same time, the silence from official channels is only adding to the confirmations and denials, just that leaves room for more speculation to grow. And in situations like this, that silence doesn't calm things down. It's the exact opposite. Piers keeps leaning into that, pushing the idea that unanswered questions don't just disappear, they build. And right now, hold-up is exactly moving this situation forward at full speed. Because at this level, it's no longer just about titles or technical rules. It's about perception, trust, and how the entire structure is seen by the public moving forward. And that's what makes this moment feel so critical. And now, everyone's down to what happens next, because this situation is sitting right at a turning point. The pressure, the attention, and the non-stop discussion have all built up to this moment, and it's clear that sooner or later. What makes this even more intense is how unpredictable the next move could be. If nothing changes, the questions will only keep growing louder, and the won't fade anytime soon. But if action is even quietly, it could shift overnight and reset is viewed moving forward. Piers Morgan keeps pushing the idea that moments like this define how institutions. In his view, it's not just about responding, it's about showing consistency, structure, and control when it matters most. And right now all eyes are locked on how that balance is handled behind the scenes. At the same time, public interest isn't slowing down, it's speeding up. Every new report, every small update, every subtle change is being watched closely and analyzed from every angle. Because in the end, this isn't just another headline. Could leave everything is forward, and that's exactly why people can't stop watching it unfold. Over the past few years, Harry and Meghan have built a public image heavily on their royal connection, and that played a huge role in how everything is presented. The titles, the association, it all carries weight. But at the authority behind all of it still the monarchy itself, and that's the part that can't be ignored. If that all shifts even slightly, everything built around it could shift just as fast. And that's what's making this moment feel so intense. From this perspective, it would only take one formal move from the top to completely reset how those are recognized moving forward. And if that happens, it immediately and be impossible to overlook. Now it all comes down to one big question. People are already everywhere. Should the palace bring and address it publicly, or handle it quietly behind closed doors without turning it into a global moment? Either way, this situation is still unfolding, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation is only getting bigger. Make sure to like, subscribe and share so you don't miss what happens next, because this story is far from finished.